let's start recording. We've just been talking for 10 minutes and I realised that we need to get on this. So today I've got Toby, who is a former Royal Marines Commando, and the reason why I made the table so long between us is so that you can't compare my body to his. How you doing?
Good, thank you, mate. Yeah, very well.
Right, really glad to have you here. Thanks for coming. We were just talking about coaching, but I want to take it back a little bit. And just to give everyone listening a little bit of background about yourself, like just basically tell me about school life, family life, and what you first did in the world.
Okay, so originally I'm from South Wales, arse end of nowhere in the countryside. Kind of grew up doing very much to do with like horses and outdoorsy kind of stuff. Always been a very active person. Was got like rugby. As in Wales, you have to do rugby. Didn't know what football was till I was about 12 years old. Boxing and things like that. So I've always been very active. See, as you mentioned, from a young age, joined the Marines at 17. You joined young as well?
Yeah, I was 16.
16, yeah. So joined the Marines 17, served 5 years. Majority of that at Force U Commando. From there, then life didn't go as planned. Got in a bit of trouble when I was about 22, just after I left the Marines. What I decided I was going to go and do didn't work out. Moved to Dubai on a whim. Started coaching, PTing out here. 8 years later, still here. And the rest is history. So,
So going back to your childhood, because for those that are listening that don't know you or don't follow you, you are, I would say, extreme in a sense with your mindset and your discipline. Even from a boot neck, and I'll get into my side of like my story of discipline. When I was a Royal Marine, I was not self-disciplined, and that became evident to me when I left, and it all unraveled, and I had to regain discipline as an individual, not as a Marine in that environment, right? But you seem to be, what I'm trying to get at is from your upbringing, like were you always disciplined? Did your family instill things in you? Like,
yeah, so I think my father was a big sort of like influence with it. He was so my dad, for example, at 16, 17 years old, he's living in a car. Right? He had no money, had nothing. I was born in a 13-bedroom house, right? I didn't grow up wealthy. Everything went very south shortly after I was born. But the journey that my father went on, like his dad killed himself when he was 13 years old.
Wow.
Had a very like tough upbringing. So he instilled a lot of that into me about like even being like physically strong, mentally strong. You know, even to the point where he was like, your sisters can cry, you can't cry. He was like, oh, if I see you crying, I'm going to go to school and tell your friends that you're crying like a girl, right?
Wow.
So straight away from a young age, I was like, okay, I have to be this kind of like tough guy. And then I'd always be trying to impress him with like, have I got a six-pack? I'm like a child still, right?
Yeah.
How many laps can you do in an hour? You know, like around the field. So
wow.
Straight away from a young age, he instilled this like, I guess like this like traditional like macho kind of like that was the only way I thought I had to do. That was to impress obviously my father. Then I didn't really have like the closest relationship with him after that. Like him and my mother split up when I was 3. He had a lot of health problems. He had 5 strokes, 2 or 3 different types of cancers. Right, he was proper had it. So he wasn't really around an awful lot. So then as I was growing up, kind of what I would try to push in myself was that like everything that he taught me and how like disciplined he was, and like I would get validation every time I went back to see him. If I was like, oh look, I've been boxing, I've been training. So a lot of it for me was, I think it was like validation. I wanted to be recognized. I wanted to be like tough because I had 2 sisters and my mother, so I was the only boy in the house. So I was already felt a little bit like I didn't want to be like my sisters. You know, my sisters are very hardworking and sporty and stuff. I had to be like so different to them.
Right.
So, you know, they'd be sitting and watching a movie. I'd be outside like skipping.
Right. Interesting.
And I don't really know where the drive come from until I was a bit older. And now I think it was all a lot of it was for validation.
Yeah.
As in, that's what my father told me that you should be like. So then I saw him, sometimes I saw him once a week. Sometimes I go 12 months without seeing him, right, as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, it'd be quite a long time. So in my head, I was always like when I see him, I've got to be, as a kid, you always want to be like, oh, you've grown, you're taller, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to always be like, oh, you've got better, or you've done this. And
right.
so it was always like, I think like recognition and validation for me, which drove it. It wasn't as much discipline. It was kind of, it was just working towards something constantly, I think, yeah.
And when you met him in those situations, would he praise you? Like, he would, yeah?
Yeah. Like, I was like the best thing ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it would be worth it for me, to be like that, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it was just, again, growing up it was just me, 2 sisters, and my mother, so I didn't want to, I didn't want to be girly. I was like, my fear was like to be girly, so I would always push myself then and be as like macho as I can, again, like rugby and boxing and getting into fights in school and stuff like this. It was always like I had to do the polar opposite to what they were doing. Yeah.
No, I can see that. Is your dad still alive?
No, he actually died when I was 19.
19.
Yeah.
That must have been tough.
It was. It was a funny time actually. I dealt with it honestly, I didn't really deal with it. Right. I was from a young age. Like you tell me, oh, I'm sick. I'm not going to be around for very long. You said this to me from when I was probably 6 or 7 years old.
Wow.
And he survived till I was 19.
Yeah.
But he did know he had bad strokes. He had cancers and stuff like this. But I took a weekend off when he died. And then I went back I was at 4-2 Commando. I just joined. And I just went back to work. I didn't say anything.
Wow.
My sergeant major had an introduction interview with my sergeant major. He's like, oh, anything I need to know about, any dates coming up, anything you need to get away from? I just next weekend, if I can definitely get it off would be really great, but no worries if not. He's like, what's happening next weekend? I said, it's my dad's funeral.
Oh,
he's like,
shit.
The fuck are you doing in work?
Wow.
I was like, I've just joined the unit. I come from Faslane.
Right.
I just joined the unit, I just joined 4-2.
Right.
So I was like, I didn't want to, I don't want to be the guy that takes the first week off for personal reasons.
Right.
He's like, you fucking idiot. He's like, go home if you want. I was like, no, I don't want to.
Oh, really?
I wanted to be in with the lads because you know what it's like. It's very,
for sure.
You're either in the group or you're not.
100%.
So I was like, I'm not going to, the first 2 weeks, I'm not going to be like in and out. Just
Here's a question for you then. When you have a son, when you have children, do you want kids?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So if you had a son, would you, like, given the upbringing that you had, like, would you tell your son the same stuff as in, like, you need to be, don't cry and stuff like this, or how would you approach that?
I think I'd probably do it in a bit more of a maybe emotionally intelligent way.
Right.
Like, my dad definitely had a harder life than me.
Yeah.
So he had to be a certain way, otherwise he wouldn't have made it. And he ended up being very successful until he wasn't. So I feel like his mindset and his way of doing everything got him from living in a car to living in a 13-bedroom house.
Right.
I'm not singing a sob story. I didn't have the easiest upbringing, but it wasn't anywhere near as hard as him.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a watered down effect. Yes. If I have a son, he'll probably live in Dubai.
Yeah.
Probably won't go through half of what I did, and it won't even be like a tenth of what my father did. So I feel like the principles are the same.
Yeah.
But not as extreme. Like, it's okay to cry if you're a 7-year-old boy. Of course it is. You don't have to have a six-pack. You don't have to run around the field to prove to me that you're tough.
Right.
I like the idea of it, but
100%.
It's good to push boys, I think, and allow them to be boys and let them know that boys are a certain way. Like for me, you're like I see you on your Instagram with your son.
Yeah.
I think you're a very nice masculine role model.
Yeah.
But I also get a nice energy from you as well. Like you're not like fucking asshole.
For sure.
So I think it's I think the principles are the same.
Yeah.
but not the extremity. Like.
Absolutely. And like you said, they went through a certain type of life
Yeah.
that we could never imagine.
Yeah.
And you never know. Our parents always did the best that they could.
Exactly, yeah.
I had a kind of a different upbringing. My mum left my dad when I was 12 and took my 2 sisters and my brother with her. And we didn't speak to her. Me and my did didn't speak to that side of the family.
So you were left
for 15 years. So I was with my dad.
Wow, okay.
But my dad wasn't... He did give me no direction.
Yeah.
0 direction. To the point when I was 12, he told me, there's food in the cupboards, I'm going to go to work, and you're never going to go hungry, but take care of yourself. And I was like, I actually have to wash my clothes, clean the house, or I didn't have clothes to wear. But he always told me, he said my dad forced me to become an engineer, and I will never force anything on you. You make your own life. I will support you. And remember, you can do anything that you want. So from 12 years old, I was completely free to run around the streets and get in. I could go home anytime I wanted. I didn't have to go to school if I didn't want to. And he just said, you make your bed, you have to sleep in it. You'll find out the hard way if you need to that, if you don't want to go to school, don't go to school. And they would call him in and he would say, he's making his own choices, And it was good for me. For my personality, that was perfect. Because I got to figure out from an early age where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. And I was lucky enough to find the Marines at a very early age. It was actually around 12, 13 that I coincidentally heard about them. And that got me fixed on that. But it could have gone the other direction. It might have just been a coincidence that...
There's usually a common denominator with men that join the Marines, especially when they're younger.
Fucked up background is
we've
all got it. No one I know in the military is parents were together. We're all messed up. No, that's very interesting. So, some of the stuff that I see you do on social media is just mind blowing, man. You were going to do something recently with the whole 100 thing. I'm like, that's insane. To even say you're going to do something like that and have it in your mind, I'm going to do this, is like, what the fuck? So where did that start? Like these insane challenges that you do?
Recently, really, within the last couple of years since I stopped bodybuilding. Obviously, in the Marines, you don't really you do tough training, but you're forced to do it. So outside of that, I didn't want to do it. I used to lift weights just to look good.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't catch me doing an extra run or something in the Marines. I definitely wouldn't be I'm going to run a marathon on the weekend, because you're training hard all week.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have any inspiration to push myself further than I needed to when I was in there. Obviously, I left the Marines and I found it a bit difficult when I left for about 6 months or something. And then I got into bodybuilding. A guy on my PT course was like, you've got a good physique, you should compete. I'll coach you. He sent me training plan, diet plan, which didn't change for 8 weeks. I did a competition and I was like, I don't have this anxiety anymore. For the first time in my life, I had anxiety when I left. But my life went a little bit shit for certain reasons. But so I had no direction. So I started doing bodybuilding competitions. I never really liked the competition. Never really cared for getting on stage in little pants, really. But it was the prep to get me there. Getting up in the morning, doing an hour of cardio, being starved and hungry, and then waiting an hour before I ate my eggs. So that was the discipline that came after the Marines, which I was like, wow, I actually really needed this. Because without it, I could get up when I wanted, I could do what I wanted, there was no one telling me anything.
Yeah.
And for 3 months it was this is amazing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
There's no one in charge of me.
Yeah, for sure.
So I had to take charge of myself and put myself into a routine. Anyway, I was obsessed with the routine of bodybuilding. Again, the competition side, I never really fell in love with it. I just loved the days where you're absolutely exhausted and you're on 1,200 calories and you get it done. And that for me was so rewarding. And then when I stopped bodybuilding, May 2022 was the last, so about 2.5 years ago, I was like, I've got all this energy. Like, what do I do with it? Like, I'm just training. So I think that's when I started doing like a 5K run, and then like a 10K run, and then I got quite good at rowing, and I saw people like doing these certain times, there were certain distances. And I just wanted to like, okay, these guys are like fit. So I wasn't fit at the time, I was just a bodybuilder. Like if I can get near these guys' times, then, you know, and push myself mentally. After it, I'd feel this huge like release. Like I've tapped into something in here, and everything is like this like, how do you call it? Like almost like a nervous energy. I completely just drained my body of it, and then for about, I'd say a week, but that's exaggerating. Probably like 3 or 4 days, I'm on like a high of just being like, I've achieved something. I pushed everything out of me. So after that, I just kept seeing like where can I go with it. The fitness side of things for me, like cardiovascular, I'm naturally a lot better at that than I am at bodybuilding. Like I've always been in good like shape, but I could never be like a huge guy. But fitness, I got into like running and rowing within like 12 months. You know, I'm like top of the leaderboards in the UK and the world for rowing. So I was like,
insane.
I'm actually quite good at this.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Like the professional people that do this is like a thing, and you just come in. Some bodybuilders just come in and fuck shit up, you know.
Yeah. It's funny on the concept website. It's all the guys in like their rowing leotards, and I put one when I was like super jacked. I'm like 6'4". I'm like 5'11".
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's fucking insane, mate.
But
just what you said there, like, because I've gotten fairly lean before, not bodybuilding lean, like 7% body fat.
Yeah.
And it is one of the most difficult things to do. Hard physical challenges are, you know, whatever. You're in pain, you can tell yourself, you know, another hour or so of this and it's done, and you can always see through it. But when you're hungry and you have like a month,
it's a nightmare, isn't it?
It's like, what?
There's no it's like a slow, torturous kind of feeling, you know, like when you're doing a run or anything like this and it's hard, you can kind of like motivate yourself, right? And you kind of, when you push through the hard patch, you almost get like a little bit of adrenaline. Yeah. Like, okay, like even, I did 100K 2 weeks ago now. I always, around like 60, 70K mark, it's the hardest bit for me. And then when I get past that 70K mark, it's fairly like downhill, so to speak. And then after I get past that hard 10K, I get like this like surge of energy then. Like, right. Fuck, I've done the hard bit. That's it, 100K is done. As soon as that 70K is done, 100K is done in my head. Right. So the last 30K, I'm like, fucking, let's finish this, right? Right, strong. But with dieting, it's like for a competition or a photo shoot or whatever your like end goal is for your condition, the closer you get, like the worse you feel, usually, right? And there's no like high in it. It's just constantly like dipping down. And what's a 12-week prep most people do, right? Or cuts or something. And to get 10% is hard, but to get, I think that like that 6% is
it's not a little bit harder.
It's like 10 times harder, right? It's
a lot harder. It takes over your life. You can't.
You
can't focus.
I mean, one of the reasons I stopped was because it was just to the point where nothing else really mattered. Yeah. You know, when you're hungry, actually nothing else really matters.
You can't think. You can't do anything.
You know, you're like driving for food and like, you're stuck in traffic and you're starving. You're like, I just don't care about anything right now. I just want to eat.
Yeah.
But it's like
your life is like
literally,
that.
And it's like a month of that. Fuck. You know, trying to have like a relationship and a business and actually be like a genuinely normal person. It's like, and then you get on stage and you don't win, you know, or you don't like how you look.
But I think the hard. So what? That's, you said it yourself. Like you got something from that. Like it was you said you enjoyed it almost. Like you needed it. Yeah. For that kind of focus, that discipline, and I think that. Yeah, that would definitely carry itself into these hard physical challenges that you have been doing. And that will also carry over into business as well. Because, man, business is just, it's the long, slow, day by day, doing the same shit and slowly just progressing. And then you look back over the years and it's like, oh, wow, I've achieved so much. But it's a daily...
You don't notice when you're in it kind of thing.
No, you don't. Yeah. You don't because of the time profit. It's only when you look back and you go, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Before we get into the business and the coaching and stuff, what is the single most hardest physical challenge that you've ever done? Where you were just like, I don't know if this is... Or have you never hit that point mentally where you've thought about throwing the towel in?
The hardest one for me was probably I did 161k at Al Quadra, so 100 miles. But I don't want to sound like a dick, but my energy is always fine.
Right.
My breathing is always fine. My heart rate. There's no I don't have crashes or. The only thing was I did most of my running on the treadmill, right?
Yeah.
With these, I told you these like Alpha Flies, and they're not meant for heavy people moving slow. They're meant for 60-kilo guys moving at 2.5-hour marathon pace. So I wore these shoes, thinking like, oh, they're fine. I'd not run outdoors in them. I'd only run on the treadmill with them. So first 5k in, so it was like 30 minutes in. My knee was just like in absolute bits, and I thought about throwing a towel in then at 5k. Because I've already done 100k, right? So I was like, I'm not going to do 100k because I've done it. So if I go past 100k, it's got to be significant. My plan was to do 200k. That's why I went up there to do 200k.
Right. On your own?
Yeah, so my friend Claude, he's a bit the older guy I do stuff with. He came up at about 50k mark.
Okay.
On a little granny bike with a basket. Because at that point I was running with my water and everything as well.
Oh, you had everything with you?
Yeah. So
from 5k, your knee felt like it was going to fall off.
Yeah, it was just like, when you get like a stabbing pain in your knee, and I was like, I either quit now or I don't.
Right.
Because I had 200 was in my head, but 161 was like where I would settle for. So I had to do the 100-mile mark.
Right.
So that was the point then where I had to really decide. I was like, how tough are you actually to do it? Because I said, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt now for the next. It took me 24 hours to do it. I was like, how tough are you? Like, I've come up here for a challenge. Do you want to? If I had no pain and I finished it and it wasn't that hard, are you going to be like, oh, that was? It's not the distance. People can run way further than me. I'm not trying to beat anyone. It was like, I want the mental challenge. So it was at that sort of 5k mark where I said, you come up here for a challenge. You're not at your 100%. So here's the challenge. Now it starts now. So either take it on the chin as you said you would.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to push myself.
Yeah.
Or quit.
Yeah.
And make this excuse that, oh guys, my knee hurt. I'll do it next weekend, and then next weekend your knee starts hurting again. So I thought, fuck it, you're here now. Just do it. Like, worst that's going to happen is you're going to have issues for the rest of your life.
Mate, that. Yeah. No, again, it's that mindset that you've got of kind of like compartmentalizing the pain and the suffering. It's like, okay, it's there.
Yeah.
But I've come up here for a reason to do this, and it's mind over matter. Everything you told me so far is mind over matter. Physically, I mean, if you just going out there and your knee felt like it was going to snap, I mean, you're done, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, no, it's not going to stop me.
Because it didn't get worse, really.
Right.
It only got worse in the last 20k or something.
Really?
So between 5k and 140k, it was bad, but it wasn't getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I was just like, okay, it's just there. But with pain, like, it's tiring, right? It's like kind of exhausting.
You got to deal with it. Well, you're almost blocking it out.
Yeah.
You're recognizing it, but you're like, no. And there's only so long you can go with that, right?
Yeah,
it's going to start really.
But then it starts kicking in and like, okay, what if this is like permanent? Like, what if I have done something to it and I'm just wearing it
permanently, down?
Or even if I can't train probably for 6 months, I'd be absolutely gutted.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, where's ego? Where's
Yeah. How far do I go with this?
the challenge was there, like I wanted the challenge, I wanted to test myself, and I tested myself in a different way.
Different way than what you thought you were going to test yourself.
Because I thought, I'll do what I've done 100k. 100k mark would be easy. Like I did 100k 2 weeks ago on the treadmill. Like honestly, apart from my hamstrings getting a bit like crampy, it wasn't hard.
It was fine.
It was like it was six out of 10, I would say. It's
very unusual for a guy of your size. The guys that I've known in my life that are good at bootnecks and people that rugby players that have the size are terrible at endurance.
Yeah.
You are an anomaly in that sense because you've got the endurance and you've got the size as well. What do you think that is? Is it?
Honestly, I don't know. Even since a kid, I was always like long distance stuff. I could just
easy.
Yeah.
And the commando tests for you were just what, piece of piss?
Well, they were hard because I wanted the PT medalist, right? So I wanted to get the fastest times.
Okay, did you get it?
Yeah, did you? So
nice.
I pushed myself like
right
to the limit on those.
You were the top guy in your troop then?
Yeah.
Did you go through with your original troop?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And the 30 miler and stuff like that was...
It was fine, yeah. 30 miler was okay.
I failed the commando test the first 3 times. I had a what's it called, infection in my knee. And the first time I tried it with my original troop, I was like throwing up my food in the mornings, and my veins were all bright red, and I was hiding the infection from everyone in the training team, so I didn't want to get treated. And they was because I was one of the fittest in the troop. I wouldn't say fittest, but I was top 3.
Yeah. They noticed
consistently.
Yeah.
They were like, we'll have to move you. You failed. We'll have to send you back. I tried with the troop behind us.
Yeah.
Failed again. Troop behind. Got to the 30 miler. Got to mile 22, and collapsed. I had heat exhaustion, and they sent me to the hospital. And the doctor was fuming. He was like, "You are an absolute idiot." Like he said, a few short years ago, we would have chopped your leg off without asking you. We would have put you to sleep and chopped it off. And they put me on all these meds, and the infection went down, and then I had to go into Hunter and do the whole thing.
Yeah, and your fitness, because you peak then, aren't you, as
Mate,
well? So.
I didn't realise how unfit I'd gotten until they stuck me back in a troop, and I went for a run, and I was at the back, and I was used to being at the front, and I was like, what is wrong with me?
It's scary how quickly you lose it, right, as well.
From that peak cardio, it didn't take long to
but also then your body's exhausted, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a big difference, like I tell people about any fit person can go and complete the commando tests, but the 32 weeks building up to it, where you're sleep deprived, stressed, like
lost
infections, I was like, that's the bit that you got to get through. You're doing the commando tests on like your reserve tank. I could probably go and do them tomorrow. But could I go and do 32 weeks now? No, I don't think so. I think I would probably end up with an injury or something now.
Exactly.
12 years older or something now.
No, for sure.
14 years older, fucking hell.
Yeah, so why did you leave the military?
I left to... There was nothing really happening for a start. I loved it. I absolutely loved like the lads. I loved the lifestyle. It was really suited for me. I left to go and do private security kind of stuff because I've always been fairly ambitious, and when a year repeats itself and there's no progress in that year, for me, I'm like, okay, I'm wasting my time now. And I couldn't see, like I was PW3, so I was PW machine gun attached to heavy weapons fire support group. They were like, because I was young as well, I was 22, you probably look at another 4 or 5 years maybe for promotion. I'm like, I'm on not even 1,500 quid a month, probably on like 1,300 quid a month. It's like, it's fine now at 22. At 27, do I want to be on 1,300 quid a month? I might get a juniors, or I might get promoted. It was like
to 1,800 quid a month.
And I'm like, I think I can probably go outside. And my stepfather was kind of like, mate, it's a good life and all that, but it's unless you want to stay in as a career, if you want to go out and make money, he's like, there's no point staying until you're 25, 26. He's like, leave now, because at my 5-year point I can leave. It's like, just leave now if you want. So he influenced me a little bit with that. I left to go and do private security. Again, ended up getting like a bit of trouble and stuff like that, so I didn't then went on the PT course and just moved here.
Straight in.
Yeah, but I missed it. Like I sort of regretted leaving. Probably until recently, there was all part of my head that was like,
really?
Yeah, but you remember the good times, right? You don't remember getting the weekend taken off you because of some bullshit. And
I think as well, looking back, it's the perfect scenario for certain boys, as we were, to. If you're lost, like I was at home with my dad, and I hated my hometown, I hated my scenario, I hated life. Mum had left, and this was my escape. It was perfect for me. But as an older man now with a son and a business, looking back, the whole concept of being in the forces and going off to these foreign countries and killing people and all the rest of the actual job that you're there to do, because it didn't enter my mind at all.
It's drills, isn't it? It's drills, and it's a social. It's
exactly. It's more fun than anything.
Yeah.
It's more of a laugh.
Yeah.
But the whole philosophy. I'm not saying that countries don't need to protect themselves and fight for the greater good and all that. But you're not fighting for the greater good. You're fighting for a politician that decides to go and pillage the oil or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so you look back and like, why?
Yeah.
I never had to shoot my rifle in combat at all, and so I'm very touch wood. I'm glad I never had to do that, because. Now, when I look back and I see some of the guys that did do that, I mean, a lot of them are really messed up, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, you got brought up with don't cry. You're a man.
And a lot of lads struggle now.
They do, because you're not allowed to express. I mean, in our era when we were in, and I think now it's changing a bit. Well, now we've gone the extreme, but we've gone the other direction. We need to bring it back a little bit. But you didn't talk about anything.
No.
It was like, suck it up and crack
Someone's
on.
girlfriend dumped them when they were sad. You're like, oh, don't be such a pussy, come on.
Get
a few drinks in you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It was like, oh, yeah, all right, yeah.
Yeah, and now looking back, and now it's like, okay, no, that's not probably the most smartest way to deal with
all
stuff.
you're doing is suppressing it until later life anyway.
It's going to sneak up.
It's a difficult place to be, right? It's a difficult scenario, whatever, to live in every day. But I was thinking about this morning for some reason. If you try to do anything different in the Marines, you get like bullied, right? Like joking, but you're not allowed to be different. If you're wearing slightly different clothes to the other lads, which is just like jeans and a t-shirt, it's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's a model, It's You dare not be different.
Yes.
So it stops a lot of creativity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's very different. Like when I came out, my stepfather, he was like, right, mate, you need to make some money then, don't you? And I was like, how?
Yeah.
He's like, get yourself out there. Like he grew up doing that. He grew up just talking to people and bought a motorbike, sold a motorbike, bought a car, got a car garage. I was like, I don't know, even speak to people about business. Like I don't know anything. I got my wage at the end of the month. I went and spent that on booze. I was like, I don't know how to make money or speak to people in a entrepreneur way. 100%. So I struggled. I was like, okay, this is
100%
not for me.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
It took a good couple of years for me to even start having any idea.
Yeah, I mean, we're straight out of school.
Yeah.
Teacher telling you what to do. Military instructors telling you what to do.
Yeah.
And that's all of school life, and 5 years directly of just being told what to do.
Yeah.
And you leave and you've got no idea. I wanted to go back in as well. The first 3, 4, 5 months I was lost.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking, should I go back in? And luckily I couldn't, because I was medically downgraded because of the incident that I had. But yeah, I would definitely have tried to.
It crossed my mind a few times. Yeah.
It's just a structure. You need to go to the doctor. You go to the med bay. You need to go see the dentist. You go see the dentist. You need to do this. You just go over there. Your food is laid out for you 3 times, 4 times a day. You don't have to think.
It's just like a mini society, isn't it, inside of the entire camp gates? And
you said a funny thing, like you're not allowed to be different. My first day as a nod, when you go on, you get in your drill gear and you go out, and we got introduced to the drill corporal or drill sergeant, or whoever he was. No, it was actually our drill instructor who lived with us in the foundation.
The DL,
that was it, the DL. He lined us all up outside on the parade ground. He walked down the line, there was a single line of us, stopped at me, turned to my face and went, "You're a fucking poo baby." Right? And I was like 16, like, and that was my nickname. Everyone called me Poo Baby for the whole time. But it was funny. Like, it was legit funny.
You couldn't do that now, that kind of.
Oh, no, you wouldn't get away with it. And little things like I had real goofy teeth because I sucked my thumb when I got my adult teeth as a kid. And they really stuck out a lot. Yeah. I had braces like 4 years later in life. And they said, "Oh, he looks like Freddie Mercury." So they got black masking tape, put a tash on me, and they made me dance to Queen while they were handing out the train passes to everyone before we were going on leave as a nod, right? But what they didn't realise is my dad listened to Queen constantly. Right, so I knew all the words. So they put it on, and I started singing. Oh fuck, he knows all the words. It was so funny. I just danced for like half an hour singing.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, you can't take anything seriously, and like if you take things seriously, it'll really affect you. And you just got you build up a thick skin with it, don't you?
You do build up a thick skin, and I think that's good. And when you get out, it's one of the things I craved. I'm like, I can't. The same level of like jokes and humor. I have to like tone it down by about 10 in Civvy Street because you do something and they just think you're wild and crazy. Yeah. I'm like, no, this is funny. And some of the nights, obviously, that you have with the lads, like some of the stuff you get up to, it's like, how did we get away with that?
It's even like I'll sort of say a watered down joke on my girlfriend and she's like, what? She's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, it's funny. She's like, no, it's like disturbing. It's not funny.
Mate, I'll give you one funny story and then I'll ask you for one. This isn't the funniest moment of the Marines, but it's one of the ones that sticks out. And at the time, it was hilarious for the whole camp. We went out in fancy dress. I was dressed as a woman, obviously, in a sizes... when you do silly rig, we call it silly rig, right? When you go fancy dress. We used to go to Woolworths at the time, get the age 5 to 7, fairy outfits, and squeeze into them, right? And so we went out, and we were outside this club in Barnstable when I was at Logs, and there was a guy screaming at this girl. They were having a big row down this alley. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. The clubs had closed. We were all there, half the lads had left. I was dressed as this fairy, and the guy pushed the girl really hard. So I just automatically went into this sprint, and he turned and looked at me, and he didn't know I was coming at him. And as he turned, my punch just hit him perfectly in the face, and he went flying and literally like flew in the air and dropped. And everyone was dying, but there was police across the road, and they all jumped out of the van and come sprinting for me. And as I ran, the first 2 steps, the high heels that I had on flicked off behind me, and I was way faster than the police. I just darted off. And then I was like hiding in bushes and stuff in the town. There was a couple of gentlemen watering flowers in the night. They were going around watering all the flowers of the building. I didn't realise it was the police station. And I come out dressed as a woman. I was like, guys, when you're done here, do you mind giving me a lift back? They said, yeah, no problem. And then the police walked out the front door, and I just went, okay, fair enough. Like, I'm not going to run anymore. So all night, one at a time, all these police that were coming off shift and on shift were coming into the cell to see this guy dressed as a woman that had knocked out this guy that was beating up his missus. And then they come in the morning, it was like 10 a.m. And they said, okay, so we know what you did. We know why you did it. So we're not going to press any charges, but your punishment is you have to walk back to camp dressed like you're dressed. And I was like, yeah, okay.
No problem.
So I was walking on the main road about 1.5 miles back to camp dressed as a woman, all the beeps and all the shouts. The last bit of this story is a guy pulled over in a Range Rover and said, mate, you're going back to the Marines camp? I was like, yeah. He goes, get in, I'll give you a lift. I got in, he immediately locked the doors of the Range Rover. And I was like, why are you locking the doors? And he was like, no, just relax. I'll take you back to camp, whatever. And he was like, show us your dick. And I was like, No, I'm not showing you my dick. He was like, shows your dick, shows your dick. I'm giving you a lift to shows your dick. I was like, no. He goes, no, I'm a doctor. Like, I can check it out. And I was like, mate, listen, I've had a bit of a night. Take me back to camp, or I swear this isn't going to end well for you. And it took me to the gate, dropped me off. I told everyone it was like the talk of the camp for about a week.
Brilliant.
So, what about you? Like, what's?
But do you know what? My story actually follows a very, very similar path to your story, and I'll show you the photos as well. Remember rugby, the Army Navy?
Yeah.
At Twickenham, right? So everyone would
massive.
Go again, like in city rig. So it was me and two of the lads who went as cheerleaders. So again, my story is very similar to yours. Maybe a lot of bootnecks like similar stories, but it went on like a crazy night. Well, sorry, we ended up in Twickenham dressed as cheerleaders, which isn't unusual. Everyone's dressed as way worse than that. Got really drunk. Like, we're chatting with some girls, missed the bus back to Plymouth. So we're like, fuck, we missed the bus. We got like our wallet and our phone. This is like 2014 maybe or something. So like, anyway, we're like, right, we'll stay in London. What we'll do, we'll stay in London for a couple of hours and we'll get the train back. Ended up just getting amongst in London. Don't know where I was. Don't ask me what part I was in. Just as cheerleaders, and walked into this like real like rough bar, and it's like dead quiet. Me and my mate walking dressed as cheerleaders. Like, usually we're used to lads being like, "Wait," just like looking at us. No, mate, this isn't very good. He's like, "Come on, we'll get a drink. We'll get one drink." I'm like, "Mate, we shouldn't be in here." Anyway, fast forward about 2 hours later, the all of us were like dancing on the bar and stuff. Right? Night turns like a bit crazy. We're in the street, and again there's this fight, right? This guy's like, it's massive, mate. He's like, he gets bigger every time I tell a story. He's 7 foot. He was a big boy, must be like 6'4" or something, right? And he like knocks this lad out. And then we're just as cheerleaders. We don't know what's going on. We're mucking on. We're just cheering. Yeah. We're like, can you give me an A, whatever. Like, yeah. And he like, turns on us, and he's walking towards us. And my mate's like, he's coming for us. I was like, mate, he's fucking massive. So he's like coming at us. So I like go around and grab hold of him, beer hug him, right? I've got his arms. My mate just like lamps him one. And he flops anyway. And he's on the floor and he's done. And then again, police come, like the girlfriend of him is kicking off and like trying to fight us and all this kind of stuff. Police come, put us in the back of the police car. Well, like, mate, we're fucked here, like literally. Then they're waiting for CCTV from the kebab shop, which they said, oh no, it's the camera's off, luckily. But they knew what happened and all this kind of stuff. And we're sitting in the back of the police car, like, mate, we're completely fucked here. Like, I held his arms back and you hit him. He didn't actually hit us, so I don't know what we're going to do here.
Oh no.
Again, we're in like mini skirts, like boxes hanging out. We're like wasted. Again, the police officer's in the front. He's like calling up to his mate, like, I need to check the CCTV. And he's like, what's the sit rep? And he's like, 2 cheerleaders have just knocked out this prison guard. Right?
Prison guard?
He's a prison guard. I found out after he was a prison guard. And his mate come into knocked on the police car. And he's like, oh, look, I just want to say that my mate's been a complete arsehole all night. He's been starting fights. He came out with these lads.
Wow.
And these lads ended up just, like, knocked him out. And he said they were calm, they were chill, they weren't starting anything.
Wow.
So they let us go then. But it was just funny, like, on the mic or whatever, he's like, sit rep is, I've detained 2 cheerleaders that just knocked out a prison guard.
I tell you what, though, you would get respect from police when you were in a bit of trouble or whatever, and they knew you were a Marine. It was different, you know. Like they would give you
a little bit.
They would give you respect, and sometimes they were actually former Army or Marines.
A lot of them, yeah.
We had that a few times where something would happen, and they would say, "Oh, you boys are obviously bootnecks." Like, I used to be a bootneck. You know, just get off kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a level of respect.
Most of the time, lads don't go out looking for trouble, do they? Like,
no, we don't go out to fight.
No.
1 or 2.
Because also you're getting shit with the police and you're getting shit on.
You get double.
Like, you
get literally like they'll throw you in jail like if you mess around like that. Yeah. It was more just like who can do the funniest, craziest thing and push
disgusting thing.
Yeah. Just and if you tell. You know, a lot of the stories from the Marines, you can't really tell them because people will be like, "Oh, that's gay." No, we're not gay. Yeah.
Sounds gay to me.
Yeah. We're not gay though. We're not attracted to men.
It's ironic. It's funny.
Yeah. It's funny. No, kissing men is not funny. So when I chatted to you before and you were telling me about your coaching, I said that you are like an elite level coach, not just because of your physical attributes, but you actually coach people properly, right? And we were talking about the whole like timeline of coaching. Now that you're very successful in bodybuilding, you very successful in personal training, you're very successful in coaching, and now you're moving on to your next venture. I want to talk about that a little bit. What's the plan?
So I'm in the process now of opening a gym, about 17,000 square foot, over 2 floors. My concept is kind of, I feel like the times are changing a little bit when it's just like a gym with equipment in it, right? So what I'm trying to create is a little bit more towards this. Hybrid is the word thrown around a lot of the time. It used to be called strength and conditioning, right?
Yeah. Now it's hybrid.
Yeah. So I'm trying to create a bit more of an open space for hybrid training where you can go, you can do rowing machine, you can drag over. So I've ordered like a load of kind of ergs, assault runners, assault bikes and stuff like that.
Right.
I want just open spaces for people to come in groups of 2s or 3s or whatever.
Right.
Or on your own. And you have open space to do your own training. So essentially it's like CrossFit. You haven't got to do a class.
Yeah.
So it's group training, but you can be, individualized, doing what you want to do.
Okay.
So I feel like a lot of gyms, they've got like a little bit of room for it, but not really. How I want this to be is completely like customizable. You train how you want to train. You bring whatever equipment you want into sort of small, dedicated boxes.
I see.
I'll show you the layout afterwards.
Yeah.
So you've got, because you know what it's like if you say you're doing it on the rowing machine, then you want to run and jump on the assault runner for 200 meters. You come back, someone's on your rowing machine.
You can't do that in a commercial gym.
You can't do it in any of these commercial gyms.
Impossible.
Yeah.
You have to stay on your machine and then move on to the next thing, right?
Which things like high rocks and everything like that, you're constantly changing around. Well, high rocks, there's loads of other hybrid sort of events happening, right? You run one yourself.
The high rocks.
You run the hybrid training.
Oh yeah. The Crucible, of course.
Yeah. So similar to like if people want to train that style, for example, it's very hard in a commercial gym. So what I'm trying to do is give a place which is easily sort of access to. You go on the assault run and you come back and someone's on your rowing machine. Your workout's fucked, right? So we have loads of assault runners, we have loads of rowing machines, we have loads of skiers, loads of assault bikes, dumbbells, barbells, whatever. Bring it into your little box. That's your workout station for the hour.
Amazing.
Do whatever you want to do in that hour, 2 hours, don't care. But that's yours. Next to it, someone else is doing what they want. And there's enough equipment for everyone to do their own thing.
I see. Are you going to run classes as well?
Yes, I am, yeah.
For certain times of the day?
Mornings and evenings.
Okay.
Starting off. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
And you're going to program?
So I'm looking for 2 guys, actually.
Okay, 2 coaches.
Yeah, looking for 2 coaches. I put like a little thing on my Instagram a few weeks ago, and I sort of said like marine style. Hasn't got to be Marines, but people like, you can get up and run a 10K tomorrow. You haven't got to like train for a 10K.
Right.
You can lift weights correctly. You can row. You can do everything. And you're also good with people. You're okay standing in front of 10, 15 people, stuff like that, which it's quite hard to find, though.
Really?
So far, it's been quite hard to find. There's a couple of people, but just for what I want specifically. I don't want a copy and paste of me. I want something a little bit different to me. It brings something else a little bit different.
You'll find that you will attract the right people at the right time. If you have a vision in your mind of where you want this place to be, and you've got that vision set in your mind, it's weird that people will show up, and you might not realize. Every single coach that I have, every single person that's doing something, I had the idea in my head, like this type of person, right? And then they'll come in, and I won't immediately realize that they're the person. And then when they get to work, or after like a few months, I'm like, oh, that's the person that I had in my mind. It come a bit they come a bit different to what I was expecting, but it's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Maybe not what I wanted, but what I needed.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll end up with personalities like Boxica. Now we've got 16 coaches.
Wow, okay.
Freelancers, full-time, like a bit of a mix of everything. And they're exactly what I wanted. But so you have to go through some as well, like, you know, you have to to hire people and fire people and go through that whole thing. You're a business owner, you're going to get that, right? But you'll be surprised. Like, you'll be like, oh, I'm opening next week, what's going on? And then someone will just appear and you'll be like, haha, that's the person I wanted. So you're looking for 2 full-timers?
Yeah, so it's going to be full-timers kind of like mornings and evenings, or mornings or evenings.
You're going to coach classes as well?
I am, yeah.
I think in the beginning it's really
because I wanted to follow the way that I've envisioned with it.
For sure.
Energy and layout, the intensity as well. So the idea of the group classes is a little bit different. I'm bringing like a bit of a military aspect into it. But I hate using the word military because then people just think like boot camp.
Okay.
It's sort of, it's like in the army, is it? And I'm like, it's the Marines for a start. It's everything's going to be done in body armor.
Oh,
nice. In like plate carriers. I'm getting like grappling dummies, like 60 kilo grappling dummies.
Nice.
So it's going to be sort of fireman's carries or drags, things like that. So it's putting a lot of like the way I describe it, but I need to word it a little bit better, is like, this is the sort of training, if shit hits the fan, anywhere in your life, something goes wrong, this is the sort of stuff that you would wish you could do. Again, like dragging a body.
Functional would be
functional,
another word that they throw around.
It's like
ready for anything.
Yeah,
nice. I like it.
So that's
very cool.
That's the idea behind it.
Very cool. You might even find that you get some of the emergency services, police, military, and people coming in to train that type of training, because that's exactly what they need, right? Dragging people, heavy kit on.
You
know, it's
so it's like a luxury bottom field,
right?
I'm trying to create,
right?
So again, I need the right guys for that as well, and
I think you could go, like former military, former military, you know.
Some of the lads I've met who seem great so far are not military, but they could have been quite easily, you know. It's like a very structured kind of,
right,
almost like a high level CrossFit guy would be great for it. Are
you going to add in any of your online as like a mixed,
like continue with my online,
so like some gyms now are offering, like, you come to the gym and maybe it's more like a nutrition kind of all-rounded kind of like approach.
That's what I want to do as well.
I want to.
What I like about here, I've been like spying on it a little bit, is like very community. A lot of like big commercial gyms obviously don't have that.
Yes.
So I'm trying to like bridge the gap. I mean, it's not a huge gym, and it's not like a small local kind of training studio. It's a little bit in the middle. So I still want to try and create a community. I still want to try and create, you know, Dubai Marathon. Who wants to do it? We'll give you a 6, 7, 8 week program. We'll do it with you.
Nice.
I'm trying to create that a little bit. So you've got a big training facility, but then you've also got that, like, come to me if you need help with your diet. Come to me if you want to do a marathon. Do you know what? Train for it. I'll go do it with you. Or we'll get a team of people doing it with you. So that's what I want to create, because
no, very cool.
I don't think it's really happening so much in the bigger gyms anyway.
No, they're not. I mean, that's where that's our advantage, being a boutique, is the community. A lot of gyms say community, and a lot of gyms do have community. A lot of the smaller boutiques, they have communities, and it's somewhere that our kind of like thing was breaking down the barriers between, you know, a lot of people that haven't trained for many years get intimidated by going to the gym, right? And they haven't trained, they feel unfit, they don't like the way they look. And I would be calling all these leads in the early days, like, you know, come to the gym when I opened my first CrossFit gym. And they'd all say, I'm just going to get fit before I come. And I'm like, well, hold on. I've opened this business for that reason. So what do you mean you need to get fit? And then I was, after question, I'm like, okay. And then when I set up this place, I was like, right, we need to be for everyone. We need to be unintimidating. If you're a lady or a guy, maybe you're not 21 anymore, maybe you haven't trained for 5 years, maybe you feel a little bit intimidated, we are for that person. And at the same time, I, being someone who's quite fit, can do the same workout as you, and at the end of the workout can feel exactly the same as you. It's just that I obviously did more reps because I'm a little bit fitter. You did slightly less reps because you're unfit, but we feel the same. And then the community aspect, like where we've done well, is making sure that it's not just about the gym and the fitness, training the team and setting an environment so that the team understand that this is people's second home. And so how do you want to be treated when you go to a place that you go to every single day?
In terms of like employees and stuff like that?
Yes. The front of house, the people that clean, the people that do everything. That the full team need to be on board with your vision and to learn people's names and even
it goes a long way, doesn't it? Mate, like the small details.
Basics. Smile when you see somebody.
It's like there was a gym I used to go to in Dubai a lot. And the staff would change every 3 or 4 months at the start. And, there's, say, like, very attractive women at the front of the gym.
Right.
But they don't even greet you. They're kind of, like, on their phone as you walk in. You're like, it doesn't really matter. And then you go to some gyms and they're like, oh, hi, Toby, how are you? Oh, I haven't seen you for a few days. Or like, oh, how was your holiday? I saw you on Instagram or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that goes so much further. It's
massive.
Yeah, you feel like you don't want to go anywhere else. It's like part of your little family or whatever. So it's
no, 100%. And what you do really well as well, like one of the things you've said with your online, having clients for so long, it's that personal approach. You actually legitimately care about that person. And then you embed, or I want to say train your team to be like that, but you set a culture from the start. Like, this is the kind of place we are. We care about people. This is people's second home. And then everyone gets on board. And eventually, you won't even have to... You've just set the standard from the start. Everyone gets around that. All the new people that come in get around that.
They see how it is, right?
Yeah, and it makes its own little like energy ball of stuff going, and it grows. And you're like, I'm not even in that anymore. Like I'm in the background. I'm not coaching anymore. And it's just taking on its own thing. But that's the exciting thing about growing a business. It's about... It outgrows you, and that's the thing that I love about doing this, is that when you're PTing, like with making money as well, like you do a PT session, you're only impacting one person for that hour, you're earning that hourly wage essentially, you stop coaching people, you stop standing on the gym floor as someone who's trying to earn money doing this, you stop earning money. And how many people can you impact in a day? I mean, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, 12 is burnout.
12 is burnout,
8 is like, okay. So 8 people a day. With a gym, you can do 8 classes with 30 people in each class. That's probably a lot of people, but you're doing like 150 to 200 people a day you're impacting. So they'll reach, you're impacting a lot more people. And when you as a business owner go on holiday, you don't stop earning money.
That's the thing.
The place is still running.
That is the thing with coaching in the past, when it was just my only stream of income, was I loved it, and it allowed me to be flexible, it allowed me to travel, especially when I was competing and stuff. I'd usually take 3-4 weeks off, or at one point I took, I think, 2 months off. But you have to make sure that you've earned enough to give yourself that 2 months off. Because when I was competing, actually, it was my coaching would like boost loads. People see you getting in that condition and getting on stage and seeing the process. Draws a lot of eyes to you. People want to start training with you. Like, oh, I want to coach, or I want to train with you in person, PT with you. I'm like, well, I'm in the UK competing. I'll be back in 4 weeks. You've lost that person by then.
They're not going to hang around that long.
So it was always an issue for me to, you go away for a week, you're spending for a week, and you're not earning for a week. So it's double, right? It's
double hit.
Yeah, but then I got into online coaching 2020, which has always been sort of like 50% of my income at the time. So it was a little bit better that way. But
is it still 50%?
No, it's dropped off now.
What are you going to do with your PTs now you're opening the gym?
I'll still keep some of them on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just train them at your ups. Keep some of them, maybe some of them drop.
Yeah, so what I try to do is just, like I've got a couple of people now who've got second PTs.
Okay.
Which I'm like totally fine with.
Yeah.
Some people are not, they get like really arsy about it.
Right, do they?
Yeah. Like, so I'm just trying to like, I keep people on, but look, I can maybe train you instead of 4 days a week and train you 2 days a week.
Right.
Just keep it flowing through. I like doing it.
Yeah.
I kind of want to PT in my own gym. I think it would be quite a nice feeling to do it.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see. If I get overloaded, then I won't. But I'm just going to be very like flexible with it.
And see where it goes.
Most of my one guy I've trained him for 7 years now. 7 years I PT'd him, so I know that like if I say, mate, I've got to be a bit flexible the next 6 months, he's like, no problem.
Wow.
So things like that. I mean, most of my clients I've had for a long time.
Yeah.
They understand me. They don't want to train with anybody else, or if they do, they ask me, can I go and train with them? I'm like, absolutely, go ahead.
Wow. See, that's loyalty. And you've built up that level of respect and that relationship with people.
Yeah.
And now what you're going to do is build that, but with a much larger group of people.
Yeah.
And they'll be dieharders. What's the name of the gym?
The Locker.
The Locker. Nice. Love it.
Thought you'd like it.
That's awesome. What a name. Yeah, I did. This is like the dream project. I went down a different route with Boxica, and it was mainly because when I went to New York and Amsterdam and London researching for this place and going into places like the top studios in the world, they were very intimidating.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they're doing well, but I don't. Everyone was really good looking, and all the women were skinny, and I was intimidated walking in there, and everyone looked a certain way and was a certain way, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like the social media is really cool, and it's kind of like a upscale place, but I feel uncomfortable here.
It's like you don't even want to sweat there, almost, right? It's
yeah.
If everyone's
it's like not even working out as well, really. It's more just like posy stuff and taking selfies. So I was like, nah. There's I feel like I can help people in the world in a different way, you know.
See, the majority of people as well are not in good shape and very lean and very motivated. The majority of people are not, and that's why they come to the majority of people are not confident, and they are out of shape, and they're not fit.
Exactly.
And they struggle with discipline. They're the sort of people that you need that need the help.
They need that.
There's more of them. There's more of those people.
That's
you
the
just need to find a way
most
to
of the market.
attract them, right?
Yeah.
Again, if you
100%.
have this very, upscale boutique, I don't know what you call aesthetic gym, well, then you attract those people.
Yeah.
But all those people as well, they don't necessarily need you.
No.
They might just go there because it looks good for Instagram or for a bit of a socialise, and then next week they'll go somewhere else.
Exactly.
It's the people that kind of need someone, right, need support and stuff like that. They're the ones that will be loyal to you.
100%. And they're the ones that you can impact the most.
Yeah, exactly.
You've helped them and brought them to a level in their life. I mean, people tell me all the time, Cyrus, this place changed my life. I'm so grateful for it. And it was just, building an environment that they felt comfortable in. There's nothing magical about the movement. We do the same movements. Every gym in the world does the same movements. I mean, it's not the program or the movements or anything special about that. It's just the environment that we created where people can feel comfortable and they can stay in that environment long enough to get the results.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it's just about, you can go cycling, you can even do yoga, you can do bodybuilding, you can do this hybrid, tactical, CrossFit, what. You can feel and look good doing most physical activities. It's just being in the game long enough, So that was our whole thing. But
even with gyms as well, it's not just about who's got the biggest gym with the best equipment, because the biggest gyms with the best equipment are not the best gyms. Sometimes the smaller, more dark, low-funded gyms are the best gyms.
Yeah.
Like some of the best bodybuilding gyms I've been to in the UK, literally the machines are falling apart in there, and you can smell the sweat on the floor. But it's something really cool about it.
It is,
and the people in there are very inspiring. And, if that's that was the direction I wanted to go in. For me, that was way better than a brand new bright lit gym with the best equipment.
Yeah.
Probably be more beneficial for me physically, but mentally this place was like the people I wanted to surround myself with, and that was the mindset that I wanted to get into.
Nice.
So I think it's not just about like throwing money at stuff, is it, and having the best facility.
No.
It's about...
People don't care about that.
No.
Mate, the stuff that we spent money on in the beginning, in the early days, I look back now, I'm like, idiot. Like, no one's coming here for the high grade finishing we did in the bathroom and the name on the shower tap. No one gives a F about that stuff. It's the people, the atmosphere.
That's what separates it, isn't it? I think that's why it's doing very well.
So I'll slowly start wrapping up here, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It was great to get an insight into your mindset and where all this kind of crazy stuff you do comes from. It's very inspiring. And I message you all the time when I see you like doing stuff like, mate, you are mental. It is absolute psycho stuff, but it's really inspiring and really cool to watch.
Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck with the launch of your... When is the gym launching?
March, hopefully.
March?
Yeah, it's not so long now, 4 months.
Yeah, it's all going on inside then, or have you...
Not yet, we're waiting on one final approval, and then it's...
Yeah.
We're working against the clock with it as well.
Yeah,
plus we want to open up before summer.
Yeah,
have a few months before summer
for sure. For sure, I can imagine with a place like that though, it's not so complicated with the actual work. Quite basic, right?
Yeah, Like the interior stuff is not overly complicated.
Yeah.
It's going to look really cool. But it's not. Nothing.
No, exactly. You don't. Like I said, you don't need the. For the concept as well, like you don't need shiny things everywhere dangling off the thing. It needs to be clean, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll show you the concept after this, actually.
Yeah, I'll have a look and I'll come down and support you when you're open. And looking forward to it, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you, bro.